The mask is off. The truth is out. And Bron Breaker is about to come face to face with the man who's been hunting him for months. What you're about to discover will change everything you thought you knew about the Vision's master plan. What's up, Suplex Nation? Welcome back to the channel where we break down the biggest moments, the most shocking reveals, and the storylines that have the entire wrestling world buzzing. I'm your host, and if you're new here, smash that subscribe button because you're about to dive into one of the most explosive developments in recent wrestling history. Today, we're unpacking the moment that nobody saw coming. The attacker has been unmasked, Bron Breaker is ready for war, and the Vision's sinister plan has finally been exposed. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this entire breakdown because the implications are massive. But before we get into it, let me know in the comments, did you predict who was behind the mask? Drop your thoughts below. Alright, let's set the stage. For the past several weeks, Bron Breaker has been dealing with a nightmare scenario. This mysterious masked attacker has been striking from the shadows, hitting him when he least expects it. Backstage ambushes, post-match beatdowns, even interrupting his biggest victories. And through it all, one question has dominated the conversation: who was behind that mask? The attacks were brutal, calculated, and clearly personal. This wasn't just some random grudge. Every move, every strike, every appearance was strategic. The masked figure moved with a purpose, targeting Bron specifically, and that led to one undeniable conclusion: someone with serious motivation was behind this campaign of terror. And here's where it gets really interesting. While all of this was happening, the Vision has been lurking in the background. For those who might not be fully caught up, the Vision is this enigmatic figure who's been pulling strings behind the scenes, speaking in cryptides and riddles, always hinting that he has bigger plans in motion. He's been building what he calls his collective or his family, recruiting talent, and positioning himself as this intellectual mastermind. But what does the Vision have to do with Bron's masked attacker? Well, wrestling fans are smart, and the speculation started immediately. Was the Vision behind the attacks? Was this masked figure part of his group? The clues were there if you looked close enough. The Vision would appear on screen with that knowing smirk, dropping hints like the future is unfolding exactly as planned, or sometimes the strongest require the harshest lessons. He was clearly connected, but how connected? That was the million-dollar question. And Bron Breaker? This second-generation superstar wasn't backing down. Despite the attacks, despite not knowing who his enemy was, Bron kept fighting. That Steiner intensity, that family legacy, it was on full display. He demanded answers. He called out the coward behind the mask. He was ready to fight whoever, whenever, wherever. And then, it happened. The moment we've all been waiting for. The confrontation. The unmasking. The truth. Picture this: Bron Breaker is in the ring, microphone in hand, and he's had enough. He issues an open challenge to the masked attacker. Show your face, or I'm coming to find you myself. The crowd is absolutely electric, chanting Bron's name, and you can feel the tension building. The lights flicker. The familiar theme of the masked attacker hits, and out comes that figure we've seen so many times, hoodie up, face concealed, moving with that same menacing energy. But this time, something's different. This time, Bron isn't waiting. He slides out of the ring and they meet on the entrance ramp in an absolute brawl. These two are throwing hands, security trying to separate them, and in the chaos, Bron manages to grab hold of that mask. And in one swift motion, he rips it off. The crowd erupts. Because standing there, finally revealed, is someone who has major history with Bron Breaker. Now, depending on how this story has unfolded in your favorite promotion, this could be a former tag team partner, a childhood rival, someone from Bron's past who felt overlooked or disrespected, maybe even someone who believes they should have the spotlight that Bron has. Let's call him the rival for our purposes here. The rival stands there, no longer hiding, and the look in his eyes says it all. This is personal. This is about jealousy, about being in someone's shadow, about years of pent-up frustration finally exploding. The rival grabs a microphone and the words that come out are scathing. He talks about how Bron was handed everything because of his last name. How Bron got opportunities that the rival had to claw and fight for. How Bron represents everything wrong with the wrestling business: nepotism over merit, legacy over talent. And it's clear this attack campaign was designed not just to hurt Bron physically, but to break him mentally, to prove that without the Steiner name, Bron is nothing. But here's the thing about Bron Breaker: he doesn't back down. Even faced with these accusations, even understanding the depth of the rival's hatred, Bron doesn't flinch. He gets right in the rival's face and says what we're all thinking: you had to hide behind a mask because deep down, you know you can't beat me face to face. Boom! The challenge is laid out. And the match is set. But wait, there's more to this story. Because while Bron and the rival are having their heated confrontation, guess who makes his presence known? That's right, the Vision. The Vision walks out, slow and calculated as always, and he's applauding. Actually applauding the chaos he's created. And then he starts talking, and suddenly, all the pieces fall into place. the Vision reveals that yes, he orchestrated everything. The attacks on Bron weren't random, they were tests. The Vision explains his philosophy. He believes that the strongest warriors are forged through adversity, through conflict, through suffering. And Bron Breaker, with all his potential, with all his pedigree, needed to be pushed to his absolute limits to unlock his true power. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. The Vision wasn't trying to destroy Bron. He was trying to recruit him. Let that sink in for a moment. All of this, the attacks, the mind games, the mysterious masked assailant, it was all part of an elaborate recruitment strategy. The Vision wanted to see if Bron had what it takes to be part of his collective. He wanted to test Bron's resolve, his toughness, his ability to overcome adversity. And by using the rival, someone who genuinely hated Bron, the Vision created a real threat that would force Bron to evolve. The Vision lays it all out. Bron Breaker, you have proven yourself worthy. You have shown the intensity, the passion, the unbreakable will that I seek. Join us. Together, we will reshape this industry. Together, we will become unstoppable. The crowd is losing their minds. What will Bron say? Will he actually join the Vision's group? Has this whole thing been leading to Bron turning to the dark side? But the rival? He looks furious. Because he realizes in this moment that he was just a pawn. The Vision used his genuine hatred of Bron, manipulated his emotions, and turned him into a tool for a larger plan. The rival thought he was getting revenge, but really, he was just doing the Vision's bidding. And Bron's response? It's perfect. He looks at the Vision, then at the rival, and says, I don't need your group. I don't need your vision. The only thing I need is to put my foot through both of your faces. The line is drawn. Bron Breaker stands alone against the Vision's collective. And the war is just beginning. Okay, Suplex Nation, let's break down what this all means for the future, because the implications here are huge. First, Bron Breaker versus the rival is now official, and this match is going to be brutal. This isn't about championships or rankings. This is personal. This is about settling years of resentment, and when personal grudges are on the line, that's when we get the best, most hard-hitting matches. Expect these two to absolutely tear into each other with everything they've got. Second, the Vision's master plan didn't work, at least not the way he intended. Bron rejected the offer, which means the Vision now has a very dangerous enemy. Someone who knows his tactics, someone who won't be manipulated, and someone with the Steiner intensity flowing through his veins. The Vision is calculating, but Bron is explosive, and that's a dangerous combination for the Vision's carefully laid plans. Third, and this is fascinating from a storytelling perspective, the rival is in a really complex position now. He's been exposed as a pawn. His genuine hatred was weaponized by the Vision. So the question becomes, does the rival stay loyal to the Vision, or does he realize he's been manipulated and strike out on his own? Could we potentially see a situation where the rival and Bron have to put their differences aside to take down the Vision? That would be incredible storytelling. And finally, the Vision's collective is still growing. Even though he failed to recruit Bron, the Vision has other members, other pieces on his chessboard. Who else is part of his group? Who else is he manipulating? The rabbit hole goes deep, and I have a feeling we're only scratching the surface of the Vision's ultimate endgame. From a wrestling perspective, this storyline has everything: personal conflict, mystery, betrayal, philosophical debates about legacy versus merit, and the promise of some absolutely incredible matches. This is the kind of long-term storytelling that wrestling fans love. Alright, now it's time for the fun part: predictions and fan theories. Here's what I think happens next. Bron and the rival have their match, and it's going to be a war. My prediction? Bron wins, but barely, and the Vision's other members interfere, leading to Bron getting destroyed post-match. This sets up a bigger story where Bron has to overcome not just one enemy, but an entire collective. I also think we're going to see the rival have a crisis of conscience. He's going to realize that the Vision used him, and that's going to lead to some really interesting character development. Maybe he doesn't become Bron's friend, but he becomes an enemy of the Vision, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Long term? I think this builds to a massive showdown between Bron Breaker and the Vision at a major event, maybe with championship implications, maybe with control of the entire brand.